and gentlemen, of course, a very good afternoon and welcome to this show. Thank you for joining us this wonderful afternoon or evening from wherever you're joining us through. This is a Freak TV, and of course, we are bringing you a very insightful program, and we want to take you through inside the bloody politics in Kenya. You know, there are so many things that are happening in this country, but one of the things that shook the country, that has left the country wondering, is the assassination of Kasipul, member of parliament, just 3 kilometers away from the parliament where he is as a lawmaker. This is something that happened yesterday on the roundabout along Gong Road, just next to City Machari. And it's something that really shocked the nation, and most people are yet to come to terms. And the question that people have been asking, if a member of parliament who is assigned bodyguards and all those security measures can be shot carelessly like that and without trace, nobody cannot be able to trace, what then can happen to citizen. So as we delve into this, the question that we're asking today is, does this confirm the insecurity situation that we have in the country? Is this a confirmation that Kenya as a country is no longer secure? Because if you can be able to see members of parliament getting shot at a roundabout, and of course in the roundabout, these roundabouts are normally manned by the police officers, and the assassins escape without trace up to now. So it's really a wake-up call, and it's really some thunderous or some serious communication to members of public as far as the security state of this country is concerned. So thank you so much as you join this show. If you've not subscribed to our channels, kindly do so. Subscribe to Homabay TV, Freak 24, and of course Leo TV. I'm Leo Nyabaya. Of course, I'll be moderating this conversation, and later on I'm going to be joined by some experts who are also going to try to dig deep into what is happening in this country of ours called Kenya. What has happened to our politics? Why has our politics turned this bloody? Is it a matter of life and death for you to be a Kenyan politician? Is it a matter of uncertainty as Kenyans when you wake up in the morning going about your daily routine? You are not sure whether you'll get back home alive. So are we left in the mercies of God as Kenyan citizens? Do we have security apparatus? Are we really secure as Kenyan citizens? So we are trying to ask as many questions as possible, so that even if you try to dig deep into what could have led to the killing or the assassination of Kasipul, member of parliament, but Kenyans are having a lot of questions. Of course, there have been a lot of reactions online. If you get to the WhatsApp groups, to the Facebook, TikTok, and everywhere, the reactions have been mixed up. The people who are really bereaving and sorry. And on the other hand, there are also Kenyans who are celebrating. So what does this one communicate? Does it tell that Kenyans have currently decided to have two tribes? That is the tribe of the poor and the rich, because majority of the Kenyans who are from the I don't want to call them the poor, but from the other class, economical status, not sorry. And there's a term that is currently going online that we sympathize and move on. This one is based on Bashir's sentiments on the floor of parliament when the BBC documentary was brought into limelight, and he claimed that in Kenya or in any other democratic space, people die, we sympathize and move on. We've also seen some comments and some reactions from people from Kasipul, or people from Homabay, people from the greater Nyanza. And most of them are trying to say that, this thing was long overdue. And there are some activities that happened before the Mheshimiwa finally met his destiny. There are things that happened back in Homabay. You'll recall that there is a member of county assembly who was shot in Nairobi. They come from the same constituency, of course, and this is somebody who's been a fierce critic of the late member of parliament. He was shot only a few days for the MP to be shot. So there are a lot of questions that are unanswered. And if you look at the police report on the death, the police claim that this is something that seemed to have been well calculated, well planned, and executed by professionals, people who are experts, because in the vehicle there was a bodyguard, there was another male occupant, and there was the driver, but none of them was hurt, so they escaped unhurt. And the shooting was close range, and only the target was hit. And when the MP reached the hospital, if you looked at the videos when he was fighting for his life, it was really, really something that was never done, maybe to hurt him or allow him to live another chance. And Kenyans have also been asking, what role was the bodyguard doing? Why didn't the bodyguard shoot back or try to rescue or to guard the Mheshimiwa, as the name suggests? And, these are so many questions that people are asking. What was the bodyguard doing? And it has also brought the debate, what happened to the bodyguards? Did they change the kind of training that they undergo? Because actually bodyguards are trained to be their bodyguards. They should be the person to bite that bullet on behalf of the people that they are guiding. So there are some incidents that have happened. You look at what happened to Mheshimiwa Salasia when he attended a match, the Harambee Stars match at Nyayo Stadium. People raised the same question: what happened to the bodyguard? Where were the bodyguards when a member of parliament was being beaten by individuals, and this somebody who is expected to be having the bodyguard? So what happened to their security details? Do they normally have some security intelligence? The member of parliament, of course, Charles Ong'ondo Were, left parliament, and 30 minutes after leaving parliament, he was no more. So we sympathize. We are really, really sorry, and send our condolences, and pray with the family, and hope that all shall be well. It is the prayer of each and every Kenyan that no stone will be left unturned, and the assassins will be brought to book. And the bigger question is, as Kenyans, are we safe? As we try to analyze that, we also need to get into the bloody politics in Homabay. It's said, not only said, but it is in the public domain, that for the last few years, Kasipul Kabondo has been a battleground. People have been having some running battles in the funerals or any other public gathering, and a week never ends without the media being entertained by some news of people who are running after each other, people who are cut. With recently, last weekend, you saw there's somebody who was bleeding. You would think it was a waterfall of blood, and all these accusations were directed towards one person or towards specific individuals. They are specific players, and of late there have been some wars between a sitting member of county assembly and the member of parliament. People have been exchanging verbally. We've been seeing wars whereby if an MP goes to the funeral, there must be a fight between this group and the other group. So these have always been known. So before we get into that, you can let me know through the comment section, of course, where you're joining me from, your thought on that, and if you really think that the country is secure enough, or you feel that at now we are heading to the wrong direction. Because if a member of parliament can get assassinated easily like that, what happens to you who doesn't even have a bodyguard? Yeah, because the news that we received yesterday is that a Kenyan member of parliament, of course, was shot dead on the streets of the capital of Nairobi by the gunman on motorbike, and in what is suspected to be a political assassination, of course. And the police said today that the attackers had been trailing Charles Ong'ondo Were's vehicle before one of them got off the bike and shoot him at a close range. Remember, there was a traffic jam. Those people who live in Nairobi, you know what happens in this traffic jam. And they also claim that the nature of this crime appears to be both targeted and predetermined. So that is what was said by police spokesman Mushiri Nyaga in the statement that they released. So the opposition MP, of course, had 2 months ago complained about threats to his life. There are several videos that have been circulated on the internet when he was complaining that his life is in danger. Yes, Jared Mashel Karibu Sana is saying that politicians must learn. That is true. So he complained that his life was in danger, and he also claimed that he knows the people who are causing havoc in his constituency, and he knows the people who are after his life. So the question is, Mheshimiwa knew that his life was in danger. Mheshimiwa knew that there are people who are after his life. Which measures did he take to ensure that he is secure? You already know somebody is after you. Why would he ensure that he beef up his security and ensure that he takes some due diligence before moving from one place to another? Because if you look at most of these members of parliament use serves and such kind of high-end vehicles, but the kind of the vehicle that he was using, or even though some unreliable sources claim that the vehicle belongs to his son, and it was one of the way that he used to to camouflage. Of course, he had known that people were trailing him, so to run away from them, he would not use his official car, so he would use that one. So the time it just reached that he could no longer camouflage. So the attack, of course, it happened yesterday. The driver was not hurt, and the bodyguard also was not hurt, and so many politicians have spoken. There are those people who have really, really, really condemned the act, and the president, including the cabinet secretary of interior, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, and the PS interior was also present and confirmed that they are going to do what it takes to ensure that the people who did the same are brought to book. And what also surprised Kenyans is that it took 17 hours for the homicide department to visit the scene. 17 hours. It happened yesterday, but they visited and condoned the scene today. And from the report that we have is that they managed to find some used cartridges, 4 of them. And it's claimed that Mheshimiwa was shot 6 times, yeah? You'll remember that the detectives, of course, visited the scene today, and Kipchumba Murkomen said the investigations are at advanced stage. So right now, we are still waiting for them to tell us what happened. This is an MP who was serving his second term. And if you listen to the people who really mourned him, they really described him as somebody who understands what others call psychophancy. If he had to support a cause, of course, he's among the pillars who are supporting the candidacy and the leadership of Homabay Governor Gladys Wanga. And in most cases, he was in a problem with the critics of Wanga because he will tell them point blank on his stand in supporting Wanga, whether you like it or not. People have also described him as somebody who was really a good grassroots mobilizer. There are so many videos how he mobilized for ODM and such kind of things. But a larger group of people who knew him, maybe by virtue of being the constituents, I've been saying that ever since Ong'ondo Were was elected, Kasipul Kabondo have never seen peace. It has been a battleground. People have been fighting on funerals, and public gatherings are no longer maybe safe. They've been having a lot of violence, and most comments are saying that, okay, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But that is people's opinion. What we need to know is we need to know the truth. So the bigger picture here is not Delano Oma Karibu Sana. If this is so, let the Mheshimiwa rest. Of course, he spoke about it. At some point, he said that, okay, people are looking after me, but I work with the Biblia in on the phone, so nobody can be able, no God can be able to kill me. It hasn't taken a week, and it happened just as he predicted. So let him rest in peace. But as he rests in peace, we've had assassinations in this country, of course, political assassinations for long. But now the bigger question that Kenyans should be asking, despite the fact I know there are a lot of things that have happened. There are a lot of claims. Of course, there are people who are saying he deserves what happened to him. Of course, people are saying that. And the reason they are saying this, somebody who's been meting some violence on his opponents, he's been silencing the divergent voices through violence. And he's somebody who's been having some people they call goons around him, so that whenever you try to disagree with him ideologically, then they had better ways of silencing you. So those ones, whether they are said, whether they are true or untrue, but what we need to ask as a country, are we safe? Because nobody deserves such kind of death, whether your enemy because your enemy, that person who is your enemy has got friends somewhere. We are all Kenyans. Nobody deserves such kind of death. So this thing, not only maybe we should not only be thinking of what might have led to his death, but what we need to ask ourselves is, what is our security situation? Are we secure as a country? That is a member of parliament being shot at 7:30 p.m. So what happens to you? Who will be leaving your Kali at around 10 p.m.? Who doesn't have a bodyguard? Who doesn't have a car? Yeah, if an MP, a legislature representing hundreds of thousands, can have his life lost in such a reckless manner, so what do you think is going to happen to you? That's the question that people are asking. Of course, we've had some notable assassinations. Remember in 1965, we had the assassination of Pio Gama Pinto that happened in Parklands, still in Nairobi. 1968, that is 3 years later, we also had the assassination of Tom Mboya. Of course, it also happened in Nairobi. We had in 1975 the assassination of James Karaoke. These are some of the notable assassinations that we've been having. Then we had somebody called Tony, in 2001 Kilome. We've had Mugabe Were, who was assassinated barely weeks after election. That was in 2008. And we had George Muchai, of course. It was recent. George Muchai got assassinated in 2015, just 10 years back. And right now we are talking of a sitting MP, Charles Ong'ondo Were. So these are sitting members of parliament. These members of parliament, they are not just individuals, but they are not even institutions, but they are the representatives of the people who've elected them. So losing a member of parliament for Kasipul Kabondo is not only going to hurt the family of Ong'ondo Were, but is going to hurt the entire people of Kasipul Kabondo, whom he've been representing their interest. So if you're joining me for the first time and you've not subscribed to our channels, kindly subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Mtembei TV, subscribe to Afrique 24 Hour, and of course, subscribe to Leo TV. We always bring you these insightful debates, and each and every night we have talk shows where we discuss the political happenings and also try to give you in-depth analysis of what is inside our politics. Besides that, we also top to give you the developing stories, breaking news, and inform you across the globe what is taking place. So keep it here. Ensure you subscribe to our channels, join, and be part of this conversation. Of course, you can join this conversation by dropping a comment on the comment section. And if you so wish, you want to join me in studio, I'm sharing the link, so you can use the link there, join me in studio and be part of this conversation. If I come back, we are going to look at the bloody politics in Homabay. When did the rain start beating the people of Homabay? It's sad that a lot of things are happening in Homabay. There are some that are already on the public domain. There are some that are not the public domain, as you are aware. Even currently, there was a chief of staff of Homabay County, Charles Ong'ondo, who cannot be traced where he is currently after being fired. And there have been some claims and counterclaims behind her dismissal. So these are some of the things that are happening in the same Homabay as we are preparing to have a Madaraka Day celebration. Is it Madaraka Day celebration in Homabay? A lot is happening. And we need to ask these questions, and we need to get answers, and we need to be top of the game. We are in a century whereby people should disagree and on ideas without harming any other, or without harming each other, or without shedding blood. The disagreement should be based on ideas, and the fact that we disagree with you should not stop us from sharing the same podium, or should not stop us from doing our daily activities. So we need to understand that we are Kenyans, and we need to behave as one another. Each and every person is having their rights, and these rights should not be taken away simply because we're having political difference. And we have to condemn what has been happening in Homabay of late. Of course, it's not a good picture what has been happening, and that is why when such kind of killings happen, you see people giving mixed reactions. people have mourned the member of parliament, and of course, there are some who've had some contrary opinion and have been saying that, you see what is happening. The MP deserved what is happening to him. So, with all that put aside, what we need to ask ourselves as Kenyans: Are we safe? Are we safe? That's the question. Awino Bob, karibu sana, said indeed, but I'm left baffled by many insecurity issues being associated with the late Honorable. Yes, that is where I want us to go to. There are so many insecurity issues that have been brought forward. There are so many concerns that are really associated with the late Honorable. Of course, when we are going to look at what is happening in Homabay, the bloody politics of Homabay, we have to put into account these claims and the counterclaims that are all over online. So we saw that when this thing happened, there are people who celebrated the death, and of course, there are people who celebrated the death simply because of the relationship that citizens are currently having with the members of parliament. But there are people who are saying that, okay, this is something that was long overdue, and he knew it, and it is something that has been happening, and he been part of the goons that have been terrorizing the citizens of Kasipul, Kabondo. But that on aside, the big question that we need to ask ourselves, are we secure? Because if an MP can be terminated like that, irrespective of what he's responsible of doing, then it means that anybody else you will be having a grudge with will have an option to do the same. We are having court systems, so we are going to look at where do we put our blame. Do we blame our justice system for having slept on their job, not to address the issue? Do we blame the security organs for not have dug deep into the issue earlier enough to prevent this? So welcome to the show. If you're joining us for the first time, of course, I've told you how to subscribe to Afrique 24 TV. Of course, we are live in Leo TV, Afrique 24, and we're also live on Mutembei TV. Thank you so much. I can see I'm joined by my brother, Alex Ogenga, whom I believe is right on the ground. That is Homabay County. So Alex, good evening. Can you hear me? I can't be able to hear you. Maybe you can work on your...
How are you, Leo?
Fine, thank you. I can now hear you loud and clear. Fine, thank you. Of course, it is a good evening, despite what has happened in the country, something that has raised a lot of questions among the Kenyans. The first question that Kenyans are really asking, and they are really worried of their lives, because what happened yesterday has really sent some chills on our nerves. So as common mwananchi, we are really worried if we are safe, if an MP can get assassinated at a roundabout, which is just a few centimeters away from the police officer, and just 3 kilometers from the parliament where all the security issues are being discussed. So Kenyans are left wondering what is the security situation. So let me allow you maybe to just give your opening remarks, your feeling towards what happened yesterday, and maybe we can proceed and try to look into where did this rain start beating us, and where did we reach at a point whereby when a member of parliament has passed, there are so many issues that have been raised, and it seems that Kenyans know a lot that even the police doesn't know.
Okay, so good afternoon to you, Leo. Yes, yesterday it was a sad day for the nation, because I wanted to believe that we are past those days of politicians or leaders being killed, and I wanted to believe the last one was George Saitoti and Ojode on the plane, but it seems we are back to those days where politicians are being shot dead, and it just happens after the BBC documentary was released. So it's very sad, and after seeing that, people have been going around to see some of the past videos of the Kasipul MP, and you could see that he was really attacking the government. So which left me raising some few questions that about his death. Is it that he has information that if he releases, it's going to cause chaos in the country? That's why his life was taken. I don't know, but it's very sad. And you have said, Leo, if an MP can be shot dead in Nairobi, what about the normal citizens? What about CC wenye tuko kwa internet? So it leaves us raising questions whether we are safe. And what I can tell you is that I believe the government has all the facilities, all the intelligence, people like Nudin Haji. I believe they can get to the bottom of this. so we can get to know who is behind the shootings, because it's very unfortunate for an MP to lose his life, and for justice not to be served. So I want to believe the government will be able to get to the bottom of these things, because they have all the intelligence to find out who are the culprits.
Thank you so much, Alex. Of course, that is a question that most Kenyans are asking, that what happened to our security to an extent that a whole member of parliament can just be terminated carelessly like that. But I believe you interact with internet. When Mheshimiwa passed, there are a lot of claims coming from Homabay. So in any case, are you aware of what is happening in Homabay? Is it true that this place has been maybe a den of criminals, and there've been a lot of running battles between politicians in the public gatherings, as it is claimed? Because if you look at internet, there's a lot of information that is being supplied there. So have you interacted with any, or what is your take on that?
Okay, so yes, as you have said, Leo, I have seen so many things on TikTok, on YouTube. I've heard so many things about the Homa Bay incident, but I am yet to make any judgment on what's going on, because I don't have the exact facts. So I don't want to come on this platform and then speak lies to Kenyans. I believe Afrique 24 is a platform that is strictly factual, and we like to keep it objective. So I have had so many things in Homa Bay. So I do believe I have to do more research, or the media has to take a certain perspective about this issue, whereby it can be based on truthful, so that we don't even come here and speak things that are of lies. Because I've noticed on TikTok, Leo, people people tend to tweak information. Somebody can just go and take a small part of something, and then they put that part, and it paints an image in the minds of Kenyans, and people tend to believe. And I think that's very wrong. So I believe there's so much information, but we have to get the right one. We have to speak from an objective point of view. So that's why I haven't made any judgment, because I believe I still have to do more research.
All right, thank you. That one sounds great. Of course, that is what most people, the information that we have around here, majorly TikTok is currently being misused. Of course, there are people who peddle lies there. There are people also creating content whereby they'll be able to mix up things and try to drive a narrative. But if you look at most of the platforms where people are commenting, you'll find that almost half of the people were really not saddened by the death, and they were saying that okay, this is something that has been going on. There are a lot of claims that have been brought up, and the member of parliament is also on record saying that his life is in danger. That is just weeks before this thing happened to him. So he said his life is in danger, and apart from his life being in danger, he also claimed that he know the people who are after his life and the people who are causing havoc in Kasipul Kabondo constituency. So what do you think would have stopped the Mheshimiwa maybe to do a follow-up and ensure that his security status is really upgraded and it is beefed up? Because if you look at the car that he was assassinated in, actually it was not a serve, it was not the official car. It's some people claim that he might have been using it to camouflage now that he knew people were trailing him. Don't you think that there is a lot of a lapse when he's come to the VIP security? Look at what happened to Member of Parliament of Mumias East, Salasia. He was beaten by goons at Nyayo Stadium, and that was something that should not be happening to a member of parliament who is having bodyguards. Of course, it's like he exposed himself to a lot of danger, and if anything would have happened, the bodyguards will have been blamed for the same. So do you think that our members of parliament have trusted people so much to an extent that they fail to take serious the security steps that they need to do in order to ensure that they are secure? These are not just individual citizens, but they are public assets.
Okay, so first of all, the Peter Salasia issue, which was done in Nyayo Stadium, that I think it's a bit different to this one, Leo, because that one was done by I want to believe that was done by citizens, and the citizens they didn't have the intention of going to the extent of taking his life. They just wanted to instill some, let me say, they wanted Salasia to have respect for Baba because they felt like Salasia was too much attacking Raila Odinga, and the people felt like if I was a Raila Odinga supporter, then I would say also that he's attacking my political leader. So that's why they just wanted to let me put it this way, they wanted just to inflict some discipline in him so that he respects Raila Odinga. But for this one, Leo, it's something much more. It's something deeper for people to go to the extent of shooting him in in the broad evening. It's something much more deep. I don't know whether he had some information that if he released would cause chaos in Bond or whatsoever. But for people to go to the extent of taking his life, it means, Leo, this is something that is very, very deep. And do I believe he could have done better in terms of his security? Yes. And I think also, Leo, social media put him in a position whereby he felt as if he confessed some of the things. Then the people who were after him maybe would fear killing him because he already spoke out. But it seems that the people who were after him didn't care whether he went and spoke on social media or not. Then they just wanted to execute his life so that he doesn't speak out on what he knows. I believe he has information yenye angetoa Leo like ingeharibu siasa ya Bondo.
You've talked of Siasa Bond, and before I get there, yesterday when the Rangwe MP, who is also a close relative, I believe, a sister-in-law to the late Sir Charles Ong'ondo, said that Ong'ondo was my brother-in-law, and it is no secret that his life had been threatened, a matter he had already reported to the DCI. I want to make it clear that the person responsible for this murder is known, and there is a growing wave of violence in politics that must be addressed by the law enforcement. That is what Lillian Gogo said. And earlier on last month, in a public meeting, Ong'ondo Were told the DCC, I think, of Homabay that there are people who are causing havoc in this constituency, and they are serial criminals that are well known. He said some of them come from Kisumu. He mentioned some other places, and he told the DCC that you need to take action. He also claimed that at some point they stopped him from attending a funeral. So, what do you think is happening in Homa Bay, and who could these people be? What will be their interest in Homa Bay at this point when we don't have elections?
Is let me take you a bit back, Leo, to when there were Gen Z demos and it was allegedly people were being abducted, and Sifuna was on Citizen and he was speaking to I think it was Trevor. Yeah, it was. He was speaking with Trevor and he was saying that people have to come out and speak out so that we know their story, so that we don't just say, Leo, you are abducted by the government. Let the person come out and speak so that people know who is behind this. So I believe the Kasipul MP, the part where Leo he left out when he was talking about his life being in danger and him saying that he lives by the Bible, he could have just told us, Leo, that who are behind him and why the reason why they are behind him, so that it be exposed to Kenyans, so that if the thing happened yesterday and he was shot, Kenyans would really know who did it. And after doing that, Leo, it would have even made it easier for Nordin Haji to be able to get to the bottom of this case. Because as I said earlier, I believe, Leo, our Kenyan government, because we have one of the best national intelligence in Africa, so he could have just made it simpler. Because even if he came out and said who it was who was after him, then I believe the person who was behind him would have it a bit difficult to be able to execute the killing. So and then also today, I believe yesterday's issue could have been prevented, or if so, if he could, his life would have been taken. We would know by I think it was 11 in the evening. We could have known who had taken his life, and today we could be getting to the bottom of things, because it's high time, Leo, we people get justice in this country. Because for the longest time, Leo, me, I haven't seen justice being served to Kenyans, because people went to the street. We have seen the BBC documentary, Leo, where people were being shot, and there is no justice to those families. Yes, we see the Kasipul MP dies, there is no justice. George Saitoti dies, Ojode, there is no justice in this country. Jacob Juma vanished, Leo. Up to today, hatujui nini ilifanyika, and those people are not behind bars. So it's high time. I think people need to speak so that we get the justice.
All right, I get you. Say people need to speak so that we get justice. Of course, we've been having some political assassinations since independence, and none of them have really been brought to conclusion. And even recently, we had the aircraft that killed General Ogola. We saw last month a report was presented before the president, and the report claimed that this one was just some technical mischiefs that led to the loss of life of the general, despite the fact that some people claim that this one could be a political assassination, and it's played down that this is just politics whereby people want to gain some popularity, and it is not reality. Well, you've talked of doing some investigations. Of course, the police always appear to be serious and say that, okay, like today, they arrived at the scene 17 hours later, and they said that we are going to ensure that we deal with investigation. So people have asked so many questions. The driver wasn't hurt, the bodyguard wasn't hurt, they were not harmed, in the incidents. And this thing happened at a roundabout. And these roundabouts, all of them are having police officers. Do you think that there's somebody who is sleeping on the job?
As I said, Leo,
Because
nimesema, continue,
uh,
continue,
Because what
continue.
happened yesterday, it's like a movie. It's like a movie because
Mm.
somebody is shot at a roundabout when the vehicles had stopped, and I'm very sure all these roundabouts are manned by the police, whether they're traffic or whatever. And to be specific, Nairobi, Long Gong Road, that roundabout toward the city mortuary. It's when you've just passed. There is Nairobi hospital there. There's Kenyatta Hospital. There's the other road that goes to Bagadi. Is it the Daystar University and all these kind of things. I'm very much sure even the plain clothes police always patrol these places. There's things that you can never dare do. You'll get arrested by this plain clothes police. What magic did this motorbike rider, or where did this person get that confidence of executing his whatever, then just escaping and vanishing? Which kind of confidence was that, and where did he vanish to? Or the shooting just happened and everybody minded their own business, as they say, we sympathize and move on.
So, so exactly as I've said, it's not something that it's a movie. So, which makes me start to think maybe this thing was structured in a way. Maybe the police were involved or whatsoever, but it's not something normal, Leo, that you hear somebody is being shot in a roundabout in the evening, and there are police there, there are cars, there are citizens everywhere, and then after shooting, like they run away, and nothing just happens. So it means like there has to be big people, Leo, who are behind this thing, such that it happens, and nothing is being done, because I want to believe it was any other citizen, leave alone the MP, and somebody just did that shooting. I believe by today, Leo would have gotten to the bottom of things. That's why I'm saying this thing is beyond the Kenyan police, because as we know, Leo, Kenyan police tunawajua tu vizuri. They don't do their work without lying. The Kenyan police wamelala, because you see even Leo in ghettos, they are the ones who supply the gangs with guns and bullets. So that's why you find there in ghettos crime inaendelea. Why? It's the police who supply the weapons, and those people have come out clearly to say it's them who do that. So meaning we can trust our Kenyan police with the things that are happening in the country. Apart from them collecting bribe from matatu drivers and touts, I don't see anything else that they do. That's why I'm skipping protocol, going direct to the National Intelligence Service ahead, Nudin Haji, because I believe with all that, we also have the deputy president who has practiced law for a very long time. He was the he was the cabinet secretary for security, and we also have Kipchumba Murkomen. So I believe with all those heads, Leo, we have in government, they should be able to get to the bottom of things so that we get that justice. But the police, I don't trust Douglas Kanja and his team. I don't think they are competent enough to carry out that investigation.
Get you clearly. Of course, we are having people that we believe are really competent. Like currently, the CS Interior is a practicing lawyer, whom I think he should be competent enough. He's not just there as a cabinet secretary, but we believe that he has got much experience that should enable such kind of injustices to be sorted. There's something that came out from the way people reacted, and you'll find that a day after maybe if you follow the politics, you talked of something called the BBC, the documentary, The Blood Parliament. So a day after the MPs dismissed that BBC documentary, saying that people die every day, it's normal. One of them, you'll find that that is Charles Ong'ondo Were, was shot. It just happened a day after dismissing this thing, and uh, he found himself being shot. Of course, now he's now the victim. And if you look at some of the responses that people are giving, I was seeing so many people commenting on the social media, oh, you see, we sympathize and move on. So what lesson do you think that our politicians should be able to learn right now? They're gone are the days when an MP dies, the entire community will be mourning, he will now be a good person and such kind of things. So most of the people are saying that, okay, people die every day. We listen, I don't know, we sympathize and move on. So does it mean that the public have now created some two classes of the poor and the rich, and the political class are now on their own? From this incident, you'll find that citizens are trying to associate themselves with the political class. Does it mean that Kenyans like wamechoka sana na wanasiasa and they don't want to anything to do with mwanasiasa? Hata leo umwambie wanasiasa wamefanya aje? Does it mean we've lost that trust and we no longer treat our MPs or our elected or political class normally?
Yeah, actually, Leo, yes, what you're saying is true. I've also seen comments from Kenyans on X. I see people on TikTok. I see even people making videos saying that they agree with the I think he's the MP for I don't know whether it's northeastern or whatever. I haven't gotten which area is the MP, but I don't think the thing that we say people then we move on. It's not a good thing, Leo. First of all, it's happening to somebody who is innocent. The person was not. You can't say that the Kasipul MP was somebody who was hated by Kenyans, or is somebody who has participated in multiple corruption things, or you can't say he has executed extrajudicial killings. So I don't think he deserves to die, and I don't think he deserves the treatment that he's receiving online, where people are saying that. It's karma that is hitting them. I think it's happening to the wrong people. If it happened to somebody who, let's say, was part of executing extrajudicial killings or participating in corruption, then I think then now people would be a bit fair and say, yes, now somebody from the executive has died, so we move on. But this is somebody, Leo, who has been on the people's side. Even if you go see Leo, his previous videos where he was talking about how the developments in his area in Kasipul are supposed to be executed. You can see Leo is somebody who was pushing for change in his area. And from the rallies that I have seen, Leo, people really love the person. So I don't think it's a good thing for us to say that we at people die every day, then we move on, because we have to give him a good sending off. Even a thief, Leo, I believe he deserves to be given a good sending off so that
I agree with you. Nobody deserves to die. Of course, even the most evil, when they die, people will always mourn. I've seen the situations whereby the known thieves or the serial killers, when they die, people still get an opportunity to mourn them, because the fact that there are some people who don't like you, there are people who really like you and depend you. And it's also a matter of truth that the member of parliament was loved among his constituents. And you cannot be loved by everybody. From the way I will see him on the rallies, he's somebody who will even be walking and interacting with them frequently. And from the information I get is that he never failed to attend these funerals, whether big or small. He was always on the ground with these people. He was really, really in touch. And this is something that we cannot wish away. And maybe the big another question that comes in, as a country, are we getting into lawlessness? If you look at things that are happening in a place like Haiti, which are being controlled by gangs, it is said that this kind of things just started like this. Once you lose the trust in our independent bodies like the parliament, the judiciary, and our executive, then people become lawless. We have gangs. These gangs, they will assassinate politicians and the who is who. And we reach at a point whereby the government will be out of control. Why am I trying to tell you this? You saw what happened when Kenyans, being led by the Generation Z, invaded parliament, or something that they almost succeeded. I think that one gave some communication to Kenyans back at home that, you see, this parliament is not that important institution. We can invade it. We can do anything to it. So the parliament lost its respect. So people no longer value people who sit on that parliament. And this can also be experienced on how people respond to what is happening. Like right now, if anything happens to a member of parliament, you saw the other day, Beatrice Elachi lost her son, and the kind of reaction that came from public, it's somehow a reaction that is demeaning the institution of the parliament. So the same will happen. You saw what happened in Narok when the police was being shot by arrow, though the media will only concentrate on the part of the police shooting the four. But if you look deep into it, you saw people shooting the police with arrows. So what do you learn? Oh, we can as well be able to shoot the police with arrows. We can as well kill police. So that trust, that fear, and that was on the security apparatus is also going to be lost. So what happens next? The thugs and the criminals will take advantage. If people who are just armed with arrows can be able to ambush and injure police, then what can we do to them, we who are maybe organized criminal gangs? I think this one is what leads to a failed state or something like that. Don't you think that if something is not done, we don't maybe build on our political vehicles, ensure that we have some political goodwill and such kind of things? Kenya is going a wrong direction politically, because once we've lost touch, and the country, we are going to have a country whereby everybody can just wake up the other day and make a decision. The court will today give an order, and this order will not be implemented because people will now start demonstrating and such kind of things. Could it be that the events that started in June last year are the ones that are haunting us today? That even the police are never safe.
Okay, Leo, give me a minute. I adjust my lighting because it's getting a bit darker. So let me adjust my lighting so that you can see me for a minute.
It's okay. It's
let me adjust.
allowed. You can proceed and adjust it.
Okay, so back to you, Leo. What was the question again? Now we can continue.
All right, thank you so much, of course, and the people who are watching this program. We are just trying to check into inside the bloody politics in Kenya. Of course, the politics in Kenya has recently been defined by a lot of violence, and in some extent, you'll find that the most violent are the ones who make their way, or are the ones who have their way. If you look at even the last general elections, the people who were elected, who managed to get elected, historically, you'll find that they're having some traces of violence, and during these campaigns, a lot of blood is being shed, and it's becoming like a character. And if you beat people outside there, they'll tell you that siasa sio kanisa. Ukitaka amani, ukitaka utaratibu, achana na siasa, enda chukua Biblia uanze kuhubiri. Something that is, if not checked on, of course, very soon, we are going to have politics reserved to the most violent, to the worst criminals, and to the richest people whose wealth cannot be questioned, forgetting that politics is what determines our daily life. And this one is something that will happen if we don't check it. So my question was, you saw what happened in last year, where the parliament was invaded, and from that day, of course, that respect that has always been there on these institutions, it was somehow parliament imedharauliwa kidogo, and people, like, when they see parliament, they don't treat it with that importance that it had before. And currently people tell, hiyo parliament hata kama jenzi walishaenda haina haja. So we've been seeing this kind of impeachment is also going to our security apparatus, whereby you see initially people feared the police, of course, even without that gun, just seeing the crowd you will subject to their orders. Currently, no police can call you kijana kuja hapa and you go. You saw people the other day using their arrows to shoot at the police. So if we continue like this, don't you see that we are leading the wrong direction, whereby Kenya is going to become lawless? There'll be lawlessness as what we are seeing in Haiti, and the gangs are the ones who are now going to control this country.
Okay, so as you have said, Leo, right now the parliament is not something that is respected, but I believe it's mostly them who have made it to lose respect. If we go back 1 year ago, Leo, when their people, Leo, the people they represent, the constituencies, didn't want them to vote yes for the finance bill. Most of them, even I remember, was it there is an MP for a place in Nakuru. I don't know the specific area, but Leo, the people pleaded with him on social media not to vote yes for the finance bill. Then he went on and voted yes. Then now after the parliament was raided, then he came out now to say sorry to his people. So the question which people of Nakuru were asking is, the time when we didn't want you to vote yes for the finance bill, why didn't you listen to the people? Then after the finance bill was cancelled by the president, that's when you come to say sorry. So that shows you, Leo, that apology from that MP from Nakuru. I don't remember the name. It was very fake. So and then you can see, Leo, people like Kimani
All
Ichung'wah,
right,
when
the MP that we're saying from Nakuru, I think that is Kimani. He was called not Kimani somebody, and he was actually the chair of the. He had supposed, I think, the budget or something like that. He was a member of that thing, and again, I'm also coming to that because again, when it comes to these things like the finance bill, you're also having another one right now, the finance bill 2025-2026, and we've realized that politicians will always pick on some things from the finance bill to drive specific agendas to take it back to the wananchi instead of debating these things in parliament. If you listen to the sentiments of Wetangula yesterday, he told them that let us not use this funeral, let us not go to these helpless Kenyans and tell them and try to import other things and put in the finance bill. Let us scrutinize this thing in the House. And if you have an issue, consult your people, then come and make it on the floor of Parliament. We're having MPs, I won't mention name, but we're having MPs who never even participate in the floor of Parliament. But when they go back home in their villages during the funerals, getting helpless citizens whom they know have got no role, these people have delegated the role and allowed them to go and represent them in Parliament. So they come and tell you, see, this finance bill inaenda kutax hizi nyumba zenyu. So some form of incitement that I was still asking you, this kind of things leading us into anarchy.
Yeah, so I was getting to that point, Leo. But first I wanted to say why the National Assembly is losing its respect, and also you find also, Leo. I believe respect is earned. Today, Leo, if you visit an area like, let's say, Embakasi East, Babu Owino is the darling, Leo, and I am not like, Babu Owino is loved by the people everywhere, because we can clearly see, Leo, that Babu Owino is somebody who is working. And I will use another person as an example. If you go to Kiharu, you meet the MP Ndindi Nyoro. Ndindi Nyoro is the darling, Leo. That person is really loved by the people. And I believe he is loved because he is working for the people. So I believe, Leo, the MPs who are delivering are loved and respected by the people. Even that day on the Gen Z demos, when people, speaking as somebody who was there in the ground, Leo, on that day, when people went and entered parliament to go and the thing which the Gen Z called Kusalimia MP, when people went to greet the MPs, nobody touched Babu Owino, nobody touched Sifuna, because people saw them as these people are on our side. So I believe, Leo, even if the National Assembly is not respected, there are certain MPs who are still respected because of what they are doing. So and then to get to that point of Haiti, nothing is impossible in this world, because we can maybe say that we can't get, even Haiti is far, Leo. Just our neighbors here, South Sudan, we can get to that point where we are like South Sudan, because this thing just start with small corruption, then it rises, then at lastly you just find yourself in that position where the nation is at anarchy. So the only good thing with us, Leo, is that we don't have minerals such that the Western countries can come to scramble and
No, no,
make
Alex.
sure we fight. Pardon? Yeah.
I just wanted maybe to make it's not a matter that we don't have mineral. Of course, I've seen Mzalendo. I'll also bring him in, being that he comes from Homabay. He knows a lot of what is happening in Homabay. I know he might have interacted with the late Charles Ong'ondo Were before. Despite the information that we are having internet, it is good also to engage people who've, somebody has got some positive and the negative part. And as we've just seen earlier, that when it comes to Kenyan politics, well, it's getting to a point whereby our politics is going to be a reserve of those people who can meet violence. And that is why they tell you, siasa sio kanisa. Back to what you are telling me of getting to anarchy, I want to give you an example of our neighboring country, Somalia. Somalia was the first country, of course, in the Eastern Africa to hold democratic elections. And they were the first one to hold a democratic election when they elected Aden Abdullah as their president. But when did the rain start beating them? When the coup happened in 1970s and they found out that it was easy to overthrow power. From that day, they've never had peace. The coup was successful. And you look at most of these countries that have had successful coups, they never get back to the peaceful moments because people have tasted and have realized, oh, this thing is possible. Unlike countries like ours, whereby people have attempted coups and it has never succeeded, but people like don't know what happened. That I was telling you, it's such like what happened. Kenyans have seen, oh, we can invade parliament, we can be able to shoot police, we can be able to do this. So this one, it's somehow like a motivation. Like if you walk around these streets, you'll find that people are motivated by the fact that the Gen Zs managed to invade the parliament. Then from that thing, they are using it as a motivational factor. And this is what maybe might lead to Kenya getting into anarchy because now people will get entitled and they see, no, this thing we are able to do it. We've done it before and we can proceed doing it. I know I'll bring Zalendo as I'm waiting for him. You can proceed.
Okay, so Leo, I wanted to ask you a question. There's a time on this platform, we had a debate with a certain lady, and she
Uh-huh.
said that in Kenya we need a military takeover, as the one we have seen in Burkina Faso. Maybe that
Who
can
was that? I know that one. That one could be Ashley because
yes, she was. I think it was Ashley who said we needed a
that is
military
Ashley.
takeover
A
so that
military takeover. Yeah. Okay.
we can restructure, and then we structure, and then we now try to end corruption in the country. And me, I wasn't buying into that school of thought. Do you think, Leo, we need a military takeover like Burkina Faso?
Actually, we don't need a military takeover. The people who talk of military takeover have never lived in these countries where military takeover have succeeded. And that's why I'm telling you, I was sure that was Ashley. Ashley lives in the United States. She left a peaceful country, Kenya, and went to the United States, which he doesn't know the history of United, what happened until they got to where they are, celebrating their democracy. So the same people are the ones who praise this kid from Burkina Faso who've never won any election. So we don't need a military takeover. We just need to be disciplined and work our things the right way. So military takeovers, making a country a pariah, will never work well. So such people, I know, there are people who've never experienced what people experience in these countries that are governed by military, and that is why they will always pray for such. We don't need such kind of things. We only need to work on our discipline, then things will be done. So it seems Muzalendo is not yet ready to join. I know you are going to have another session for the diaspora, maybe late in the evening. I'll be able to join. So we are having like a minute, so you can just give your final remarks as we wind up. Then we'll have some in-depth a discussion on this bloody politics in Homabay. Zalendo will be there, and some other people who've already interacted with the said people on the ground. So you can just give the viewers your final remarks as we wind it up. It was great hosting you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So to the people who are watching, they should consider subscribing to Afrique. We grow the platform. We also supposed to have Dimba. We also supposed to have Dimba because people have been making a lot of noises about Arsenal and about the PSG and the Barcelona. So I believe, Leo, today we can have maybe three shows because people in Dimba also want to have another show. But back to Mzalendo, I see him there. Anaweza unmute mic yako Mr. Nick, unaweza unmute mic.
All right, thank you so much, Mzalendo. I can see. I don't know if you're still at work or you're still sleeping. What is the time there? I really followed up on your insightful show in the morning, of course, and it was really
Mm-hmm.
informative. Being a
Um,
resident of Homabay, and for once, I think this thing have made you to have some deep conversation that involves Kenya, not just speaking as an outsider. I think for today, I can confirm that your show was full of a Kenyan Mzalendo and restored the name Mzalendo, unlike the ones you've been having previously, speaking as a visitor. So kwanza
yeah.
pokea pole zangu. Sisi kama watu wa Central Nyanza tunawaambia pole for losing Ogai Mamilambo, and maybe you can share with us your thought. I've seen so many people are really supporting what happened, but contrary to your
Um,
show, it seems you know a lot about Sir Charles than maybe those in the social media don't know.
you know, condolences to the family and to the ODM fraternity, including yourself, who is a staunch member of ODM. Now, losing Ong'ondo Were yesterday was an unfortunate incident, but that was a warning sign that that these MPs uh, are indeed able to are indeed accessible, and they can be caught unawares by people who really hate them for what they have been doing. Ong'ondo Were is liked and at the same time hated in the same measure. What you've been seeing in social media has been there before, even when he was still alive. So this is not news. It is not news to you. Remember, there's a guy called Evans Okoda. I wrote about him sometimes last year, and he died precisely on 30th of the same date Ong'ondo Were was shot dead. So this guy apparently goons who were supporters of Ong'ondo Were are the ones who murdered this particular gentleman. And as late as about 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, you saw that photo that was going around of a bloody somebody was beaten so badly in the primaries in I don't know whether they were primaries or some elections for ODM in Kasipul Kabon. So Kasipul in
No,
Homabay
no, just
County,
no. The person who was beaten, it was not primaries. The guy had
it,
actually lost his brother. It was in his brother's funeral, and the
yes,
guy before he was
it,
beaten, he went on social media and declared that now we are declaring watu wakatane. He did it in Luo. Ukipata mwenzako pita na yeye, mwenzako akikupata apite
uh,
na yeye. So it
yeah.
lasted 1 week and passed with him actually.
So let me just bring you to speed what has been happening in Homabay County. There are so many deaths. This is just one of them. There are so many prominent people who have died in Homabay County who serve the county government of Homabay, and in very unclear some circumstances. Just recently in Ndiwa during the elections of ODM, you saw that hand that was chopped off. I hope you saw that, and there's nothing to hide anymore. This is what has been happening. You saw the hand that was chopped off. You saw somebody was also killed in that particular uh, election process by the party. So this is the violence that has been happening across Luo Nyanza, and the youths are being targeted, and they're being used by these politicians to terrorize their opponents. So this kind of terrorism has been going on in Luo Nyanza, and there is a lot of intolerance, and we must talk about it. Leo, if we differ with you, you will get annoyed. I've been differing with you several times. You get out of the page, and I bring you back. I tell you, you idiot, come back to the page. This is politics. Raila Odinga speaks to Gachagua. He speaks to William Ruto. He speaks to all his opponents, but look at people who support him. People who support him carry crude weapons. To carry crude weapons, and they don't tolerate any different opinion. Yeah, this is politics. Let us be tolerant of each other. So Ong'ondo Were has paid a price. I can tell you for free, he's paid a price for what he has been doing in Kasipul Kabondo. So many people are missing in that particular area. There's a lady that apparently is also missing, not to be traced to date. So when something like this happens, it's unfortunate. And remember, this is just happening after that documentary by BBC. Apparently, that documentary by BBC has been bringing a lot of conversation in Parliament, and MPs are so annoyed with what BBC aired, and this is all about them. Leo, people are annoyed. They are annoyed. They are just they will explode in 2027. This is just the beginning. So they are just telling you, Mr. MP, yes, we can access you. We can access you if you use violence on us. It is simple. We'll get a gun and a bullet and shoot you and kill you. So this is just a warning sign to most of these leaders who think that they cannot be found. And be careful as a leader right now. Be careful, because the youths are very, very annoyed. They are seeing what these people are doing. They are seeing how they are being used. They are being paid money to kill each other, to chop each other, and just because of politics. And there is an entitlement that is going on, that once you are an elected member of parliament, you cannot be removed from that seat. So let us argue on policies which are important to the people. But don't use youths to mute violence on your opponents. Let youths in Kasipul Kabondo, they carry crude weapons. Yeah, they go to funerals. Each and every other time you see them in funerals, they scare. Ong'ondo Were in his last days said that his life was in danger. Yeah, his life is in danger. And the other day, sometimes last year, the guy who was beaten up in an hotel in Oyugis, and the goons left with Ong'ondo Were in the same vehicle. So this kind of violence, he has been supporting this kind of violence. And we must say that enough is enough in Homabay County. We are not going to tolerate this kind of violence coming from the ODM party. You must accept that there are people with different opinions and can challenge you on that seat, and that those particular seats are not yours, are not permanently yours. They can be challenged, and somebody else can win on an ODM ticket on a free and fair platform. So that is all I have to say. But
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Lendo. I knew you would not end your statement without dragging ODM, even though the area is an ODM area, so we just have to call them for what it is. So it was really, really, really great having you this evening. I know we are going to have this show late night. It will be at night in the East African time, and your time, I think it will be morning. So let us meet there as we continue this conversation. I want us to generally look at the bloody politics in Kenya. It is not only in the Nyanza, it is not only in Kasipul Kabondo, but this is a trend that is growing across the country. And our politics currently is being defined by how violent you can. When you want to contest, you'll find that most of them, they have to buy these high-end vehicles. They need to get youths around them. And currently, even the youth that you see, they are putting on some military-like uniform and such kind of thing. So it tells you that as a country, we are moving in a wrong direction. Our politics is no longer politics of ideas. It is no longer politics of maybe sitting down and discussing issues. You've seen our politics is being driven by how you can heckle how much crowd you can maybe have around you, how you can ensure that you stop a specific leader from speaking on your ground. So keep it here. If you've not subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe to Afrique 24/7 and ensure that you keep the the alert, you keep alert and keep the notification bell on, because we'll be here from 10 p.m. East African time. So asante sana kwa Alex Ogenga na Mzalendo kwa kuweza kufika kwenye show ya saa hivi. Keep it here. I will be back, and of course we'll be back and engage more. Asanteni sana.